66th Republic Day of India. The significance, I mean, if the simple significance is that we adopted our constitution on this day in 1950, all those years ago. But in a larger sense, for all Indians, I would say that this day represents our sense of statehood. It signifies our Indianness. Why that is so particularly today is because we have chosen to have our biggest parade. It is a military cum cultural parade in New Delhi. Every year we have this on the 26th of January, on our Republic Day. So really we have made it an occasion to reaffirm our statehood and to reaffirm to ourselves our Indianness. And when you see that parade, there is a full military parade in the beginning. There are armaments and there are troops on display, and you know, our pride in armed forces, we feel all of that. And then that's followed by dances, by performers and school children from different parts of the country, followed by floats, which represent many of the states of India. So this is an occasion, again, for celebrating our diversity, for just feeling happy that we are all represented there, and just reaffirming to ourselves that we are diverse, but we are together. So for all these reasons, for the reasons of the parade, for these various reasons, Republic Day for most Indians is the premier day to celebrate our Indianness. We celebrate all these national days of ours wherever we are, and indeed the government of Tunisia has been a very good friend to India. Tunisia, the people and the government, you know, we have these well-established friendly relations with Tunisia. Our diplomatic relations were established in 1958, a long time ago, and they have developed and grown stronger and grown stronger. We've had visits, we've had high-level visits, we've signed so many agreements between our two countries, but I will say that our relations became really appreciably closer after the advent of democracy in Tunisia. The foreign minister of my country visited last February. It was a very successful visit, and it happened to be the first official visit of the foreign minister after independence. It was to reaffirm our happiness in Tunisia's success as a democracy. My Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, in his speech to the UN General Assembly in September last year, he mentioned Tunisia and Tunisia's quest for democracy and her success in her quest for democracy. And it was the only country he mentioned in this region. And Tunisia was one of only, 3 or 4 countries that he mentioned. The others were 2 countries in India's neighborhood, all of them celebrating and, you know, symbolizing democracy. I think that was certainly the only time that Tunisia has been mentioned by an Indian Prime Minister in his speech to the UNGA. So our economic relations have also grown over the years, but what has happened after the advent of democracy here is that there is more openness on the part of the Tunisian system, on the part of the Tunisian government. So many more companies, Indian companies, have come in, have expressed their interest. Many more people, Indians, have come in as tourists, and many more Tunisians are now going to India as tourists and as entrepreneurs. So there is a new openness, I feel it all the time, economically and in other ways, which has come to mark our relationship post-democracy. But you know, we have long-standing relations. We've had many visits, and I hope to take these further in the time ahead. One important new element of this relationship is the cooperation that I want to begin between the legislatures of the 2 countries. I had the honor to call upon His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Nasser speaker, or rather it is called Président de l'Assemblée des représentants du peuple. And I called on him and I suggested, and he was quite receptive to this idea. We have this tradition of establishing parliamentary friendship groups, and I think that would be something so new, because that's not something we've had here. It was not a functioning democratic polity here. I will be traveling to India next week, and I will be calling on his counterpart in India, whom we call the Speaker of Lok Sabha. And I will be recommending that we establish relations of friendship between the legislatures of the two countries, the largest democracy in the world, and Tunisia, perhaps the youngest democracy in the world. Right. Phosphate is really the backbone of our bilateral trade. India has been the largest buyer of Tunisian phosphates since more than a decade now. We have been, originally we were just buying the phosphate and the phosphoric acid, and since 2 years now, since 2013, we have this joint venture, Tifert. It is a plant, it is located in Sakhira in the south, and it is a joint venture between two Indian companies and two Tunisian state-owned companies, GCT and GCT et CPG. Together they have established this joint venture. It is a very modern plant in Sakhira, and it has a capacity of nearly 400,000 tons of phosphoric acid per annum. As you said just now, the sad thing is that we are not really producing to capacity. The plant is not producing to capacity, and the reason is clear. There is not enough raw material, there is not enough rock phosphate coming in from the mines, and that is due to, as you know, the strikes in the sector, the problems of transportation, there not being a proper method of, a proper laid down, foolproof kind of and efficient method of transporting the rock phosphate to the coast. Those issues are there. Well, I'm very hopeful that the new government will come in and resolve this problem. I'm very hopeful of that, because otherwise, you know, it's a very big investment. It's a $450 million investment, and it affects both of us because it's a joint venture. It's not only an Indian company here. So I am hopeful that the new government will come in and take steps to resolve the situation and to take steps to ensure that there is a long-term solution to the problems of the phosphate sector. Unfortunately, the phosphate sector is one that was badly affected post-revolution, post-democratic transition. It is for a variety of reasons, but it so happens that yes, it is one of the really worst affected sectors. It is worse affected even than tourism. So yes, from a time when we were importing phosphates to the tune of about $200 million worth of phosphates before 2010, we have now come down to, I think, just about $60 to $70 million worth of phosphates imports per annum. The good thing in all of this is that this downfall, this downturn is reversible with a little bit more, with a little bit better management, and with, in particular, better management of the labor unrest. This situation can be reversed. It's not difficult. Then there are important new deposits also of phosphate that have been discovered in southern Tunisia. Our companies are interested in going in phosphates in other areas also. But more than all of that, I think there is a whole lot more scope today of cooperating between our countries. I see it all the time in the Indian businessmen who come in from India. There is interest in collaborating in pharmaceuticals, in agricultural vehicles, in machine tools, in IT and software. I have to say that the interest is greater on the Tunisian side in IT and software, because India has certain strengths there in that sector. But it is there on both sides. There is interest in textiles and garments and our embroidery. There is interest on both sides in a whole range of new sectors. It's not only phosphate, and there are indeed obstacles to the trade and commerce beginning freely. There are obstacles. I mean, I'm not going to hide that. Pharma, there are very stiff non-tariff regulatory barriers to entry into the Tunisian market. That is a fact. With the result that pharmaceuticals here in Tunisia are still very expensive. I mean, many simple drugs sell for 5 times the cost that they sell for in India. In countries across the globe, Indian pharmaceuticals, not just generics, but also antiretroviral drugs, anti-cancer drugs, in all kinds of, are doing well. So I feel that, that this is something that Tunisia, with all her skilled people, her doctors, her pharmaciens, we can collaborate well here. In the sector of automobiles, there is scope for collaboration. As you know, perhaps, Mahindra is selling in Tunisia. An assembly unit of Mahindra vehicles is functioning here since October 2013. It's doing well. There are other vehicle manufacturers also who are coming up. I know for a fact that there is a lot of interest here in importing garments and textiles from India. Similarly, there is a lot of interest in India in other products from Tunisia, not just the traditional things like olive oil and dates, but other things as well. IT, software, combining our forces together in order to be able to serve the EU market. Things like that. There are different sectors. Tunisia has very skilled people and a very literate and educated workforce. We have other established skills. We too are known for our very literate and educated technical workforce. There are many sectors in which we can combine our strengths and do things together. And I see that interest. I see a regular stream of entrepreneurs from India, and many who go from here to India who say the same thing to me, that there is a lot of potential. And I think in the time ahead, in just the 2, 3, 4 years ahead, we will see a lot of that developing.